Welcome back. In the last lecture, we have seen the introduction to the functional programming languages, in which we have started with mathematical functions and how these mathematical functions are imitated in the functional programming languages. For this, we have seen the general introduction to the mathematical functions, then the lambda functions, then we have gone for looking at the elementary functional programming language called Lisp. Then we have seen some syntaxes and basic programming structure of the Scheme language. And also I told you to go for online Scheme compiler. There you try to write the program and compile it and see the output. Anyhow, we are going to learn this programming language for this particular syllabus purpose. Anyhow, if you are interested in knowing much about this particular functional programming languages, you are encouraged to go to the references that I have provided. At the same time, you may also install a Scheme compiler on your computer and can work towards it. Further, for the purpose of knowing the language, the online compiler, and type the program and get compiled. In today's lecture, we are going to see some other concepts of the Scheme language and how to write programs in Scheme, and we'll see other functional programming languages such as Common Lisp, ML, Haskell, and applications of functional programming languages, and comparison of the functional languages with the imperative languages. In the last lecture, we stopped at list functions such as cons, cons, which is used to concatenate an atom with list, and we have seen the functions such as car, which will print the first element in the list, cdr, which will return the list by removing the first element. Also, we have seen the predicate functions such as equality and list, with checking whether a given input is a list or not, and is there any null elements available in the list or not, or the input given is a null list or not. These things we have seen in the last lecture. In today's lecture, we are going to see some more things. Let's consider the example Scheme function member. If you want to define a function member, then you are supposed to use the define keyword, then member. It will act as the function name, ATM and LIS. These two are the arguments to this function member. So this member takes an atom and a simple list. Returns true if the atom is in the list, otherwise returns false. Now we will observe the function define member ATM list. See, ATM means here atom, because we are going to give a single element that to be checked with the list of elements. We all know that yesterday we have seen the statements must be enclosed within the open bracket and close bracket. Here we are going to write a condition which is a multi-condition statement. So the reason condition, check whether the list is empty or not. So for that we have to use null question mark list. That is the list that you are passing to this function. If the input that you are passing to the function is empty, then it will return false. That is #f. Then, because if list is not empty, then only it is possible to check whether the given atom is present in the list or not. Otherwise, it is not possible. So that reason, in the first step, we are going to check whether the given list is empty. The reason, if the list is empty, in the first statement itself, it will give you the false as the result. Next, check whether the first element in the list is atom or not. that means EQ, that means equal, atom, that is the atom that you are supplying here, and CAR list. We have seen CAR will return the first element in the list. First element in the list and ATM are equal, then it will return true. It will return true. So otherwise what will do? Else what it has to means you have to iterate the list. Since already you have checked with the first element, so if the first element is not matched with the ATM, that is atom that you have supplied, obviously you have to search for the rest of the list. While searching the rest of the list, you have to eliminate the first element. So in order to eliminate the first element, already we have seen one function which is called CDR. So else member, so that means you are going to recursively call this member ATM CDR LIS. That means if you have supplied a list, say for example A, B, C, D, and you are going to search an element atom C, anyhow the first element A is not matched with C, that is the reason A will be removed, and B, C, D is the list that is supplied to the member function. So in scheme language there is no recursion, anyhow it will be ended with the tail recursion, which means it will finally result into the iteration. So here no runtime stack, no memory allocation, no remembrance, everything, but it will finally result into iteration. So that is the reason functional programming languages are very faster in execution. So else member ATM CDR list, that means rest of the list by eliminating the first element. So this is the way how you will write the program. When you are calling the function, simply you call the function within the brackets member, give the atom that you want to search in the list of elements, then you provide the list. Please note that both the atom and list must be processed with a quote symbol, so that these two will not be processed. These two will be used only as the input to the function member. In the previous program we have seen whether given atom is in the list or not. Now we will see another function where two lists are supplied to a function, and we are going to check whether both the lists are equal or not. So equal simple function takes two simple lists as parameters, return true if two simple lists are equal, otherwise it will return false. As usual, define equal simple list1 list2. Now condition, you have to check whether both the lists are empty or any one of the list is empty. So to that direction, null list, then you check for null list2, and you check for null list2, then if these conditions are true, then it will return false. Next, equal the first element of the first list, first element of the second list. So you check for the first element of the first list and first element of the second list. So if both are equal, you have to go for again checking of the second element of the first list and second element of the second list. So in order to get the second element, obviously you have to remove the first element from the list. So further, you are recursively calling this function. Here it looks like recursion, but finally it will end up with the tail recursion, or we can say iteration. So equal simp CDR list1 CDR list2. So CDR means it will remove the first element and will present the rest of the elements in the list. In same way, second list also. If this is also not satisfied, then finally it will return false. Now we'll see one more program in which append operation takes place. Append takes two lists as parameters, returns the first parameter list with the elements of the second parameter list, append at the end. So here, as usual, to define a function, define append list1 list2. Now condition is check whether the given lists are empty or not. So null list1, then directly print list2. Otherwise, cons is a function is used for concatenation of an atom with the list. Take the first element from the list 1 and should append to the last element in the list 2. So cons car list 1, which will give you the first element in the list 1, and we are recursively calling append cdr list 1 and list 2. So this way of recursive calling, by removing the first element from the list 1 and appending at the end of the list 2. So this is the way the repetition takes place here. Then finally it will give you the list by appending the elements of the first list. So in all the functions so far, tail recursion is used. Tail recursion means a function is tail recursive if its recursive calls is the last operation in the function. That means the recursion will be available at the end of the function. A tail recursive function can be automatically converted by a compiler to use iteration. Thereby the compilation or running efficiency of the program improves, or it will make it faster for execution. Scheme language definition requires that scheme language system convert all tail recursive functions to use iteration. So basically scheme is using tail recursion, and all the tail recursion related functions will be converted into iterations. For example, tail recursion means this is the function append. There is no recursion at the beginning of the function. However, there is a recursion at the end of the function. So whenever the recursion was identified at the end of the function, then it should be tail recursion. If any recursion found at the beginning of the function, then it should be head recursion. So scheme language is one which will allow the tail recursion. Ultimately, it will convert into iteration. Here is a simple tail recursion example. Define factorial n. It is like our general recursion in C, C++. Factorial program. If n is equal to 0, then return 1, else return n into factorial of n minus 1. Remember, the expressions should be written in the prefix form. When n is equal to 0, if n is equal to 0, then it will be written as is equal to n 0. If it is n into factorial of n minus 1, then it should be written as factorial of minus n1, and here star should be in the prefix. Now this is the recursion actually, but it will be converted into the recursion like this. So here define fact helper n fact particle partial. If n is equal to 0, fact partial fact helper n minus 1 into n into factorial fact partial. Has defined fact partial n fact helper n minus n comma 1. So that means you are dissecting this recursion into to make it as a iteration. So this is the way the tail recursive the recursion will be eliminated, and iteration instead of recursion, iteration will be replaced. So this is the way how the scheme programming will use the tail recursion. Anyhow, the recursive functions at the end of the function will be converted automatically as a tail recursion. So this is a simple example to show that how a recursion will be converted into iteration. So it does not mean that you are supposed to write like this. You have to write the program in a normal way. Automatically, internally, it will take care of the recursion part and will convert into iteration. Next, we'll move on to some more concepts, such as composition. In the previous example, we have used it CDR, CDR, then a list has been passed A, B, C. Obviously, this will return C because the first CDR will remove the A, then will present the B and C. Outer CDR will remove B and will give the C. Now, we have seen apply to all kind of function in the last lecture. Apply to all, one form in scheme is map CAR. See, this map CAR is a function which will act as a apply to all. That means a particular function related definition will be applicable to the variety of inputs that you supply. So here applies a given function to all elements in the given list. So how it will be applicable? Define map CAR function, whatever the function you want to provide, function list. Condition, if the list is empty, then empty, that you don't return anything. Otherwise, concatenate function with the first element of the list and recursively call the map CAR function rest of the list. So recursively what will happen? The same function will be applied on the first element, next second element, third element, like that till the end of the list is reached. Next, functions that build the code. It is possible in Scheme to define a function that builds scheme code and requests its interpretation. This is possible with the help of a function called eval. So it is possible because the interpreter is a user available function eval. So this eval is a function is especially used for interpreting the evaluation. Now we'll see the example. Adding a list of numbers, that means you have been provided with a list of elements. You are supposed to sum up all the elements. Now, as usual, define adder list. Condition, if the list is null, then return 0, else eval, that means evaluation, cons plus, that means you are going to add this plus at the with the list. So when you add this plus with the list, so once the list consisting of the plus in the beginning, then it will be resulting like addition of all elements in the list, because when the addition of all elements are there, say for example elements 1, 2, 3 are available in the list, then if you place plus in the beginning, it means that 1 plus 2 plus 3. Thereby it will print the sum of 1, 2, 3. That means any expression should be written in the prefix form. So thereby it will automatically convert into the expression, then prints the result. So the parameter is a list of numbers to be added. Adder inserts plus operator and evaluates the resulting list. Use CONS, that is concatenation, to insert an atom plus into the list of numbers. Be sure that plus is quoted to prevent the evaluation. Submit the new list to the eval for evaluation. So this is the simple 3 steps which will make us to sum up the numbers in a given list. This is possible with the help of evaluation. Next we will move on to the common Lisp. So far we have seen the syntaxes related to the Scheme language. Anyhow, we will see the various programs and their compilation in the next topic after next topics are completed. Now we'll see what are the other programming languages in the functional programming aspects. Already we have seen the basic Lisp, then Scheme. Now we are going to see Common Lisp. Common Lisp is also like general Lisp, but with some more features. A combination of many of the features of the popular dialect of Lisp around in the early 1980s have been included in the Common Lisp. A large and complex language, the opposite of Scheme, is, we can say, a Lisp, because Scheme is very simple than Lisp, because in Common Lisp various features are included such as arrays, records, complex numbers, character strings, powerful input-output capabilities, packages with access control, iterative control statements. So these are the various features added in the Common Lisp. But in case of Scheme, we will find very few of these features, and it is a very simple language. It can be learned within one day. Another variant of functional programming language, another language which is available in FPL is ML. ML is not machine learning. ML is a programming language name. So it is a static scoped functional language with the syntax that is closer to the Pascal than to Lisp. So here Pascal related syntax has been introduced in ML. It uses type declarations, but also does not type inferencing to determine the type of undeclared variables. That means type inferencing is not available in this particular ML. Further, it is very strongly typed language, whereas Scheme is essentially typeless language and has no type coercion. ML includes exception handling feature and a module facility for implementing abstract data types. That means ML has more number of features than the Common Lisp, such as exception handling and ADTs. Includes the lists and list operations by default in ML. So the ML specifics are like this. If you want to declare a function in ML, function name, parameters is equal to body. So this is the way how you will write the function in the ML. Example, fun function name is cube, and what is the parameter to be passed? X, which is of type integer. So x into x is the function definition. Once the function definition is over, semicolon. The type could be attached to the return value, as in function cube of x colon int is equal to x into x into x. So that means the expression x into x into x will result into an integer value. With no type specified, it would default to integer type. That means, as here the example shown here there is no data type was given to return as a return type. So hence by default it will be converted into integer type. Next is user defined overloaded functions are not allowed. So if we want a cube function for a real parameter, it would need to have a different name. That means if here we are going to use this cube for the integer purpose, but if you want a real number for this real number related cube, then we should have a different name for this. That means cube real, and you rewrite the function. There are no type coercions in ML. That means automatic type conversions are not available, or automatic type conversion feature is not available in ML. Selection construct in ML language: if expression, then expression, else expression, where the first expression must evaluate to a boolean value, otherwise it will give you an error. Pattern matching is used to allow a function to operate on different parameters forms like this: function fact of 0 is equal to 1, fact of n colon int is equal to n into fact of n minus 1. That means return type will be given to n, and if the factorial is provided with the input 0, then it will return 1. So here a hyphen a symbol was presented here. That means that it is a continuation. It represents the continuation. Next, lists are represented just like lists in Python programming. Literal lists are specified in brackets like 3, 5, 7. Empty list means empty square brackets. CONS is the binary infix operator. That means if you say 4, it is a scope resolution operator in C++, colon, and 3, 5, 7, which will give you, or which will evaluate you to 4, 3, 5, 7. That means 4 will be added to the beginning of the list. CAR is the unary operator HD. CDR is the unary operator TL. That means head, tail. That is what the meaning. So if you want to use CAR in scheme, CAR in ML, CAR is basically a function. CONS, CAR, CDR are the functions that are there in scheme. The same thing if you want to use in ML, use scope resolution operator. CAR, in the place of CAR you use HD, which represents head. CDR you use TL, that is tail. In order to bind name to a value, like define in scheme, in ML we will use a function, we will use a construct called val, val distance is equal to time into speed. As is the case with the define, val is nothing like an assignment statement in an imperative language. Another programming language in functional programming paradigm is Haskell. Similar to the ML, that is syntax, static scoping, strongly typed, type inferencing, pattern matching, all these things will be like ML only. It is different from ML in the aspects such as these are the purely functional language, and no variables, no assignment statements, no side effects of any kind will be there in the Haskell. So that is the reason many of the programmers are preferred with the scheme language or Haskell language. Syntax differences from ML: fact 0 is equal to 1, fact n is equal to n into fact of n minus 1. Previously we were supposed to write fact of 0 is equal to 1. Here function fact of 0 is equal to 1 and fact of n, here a data type must be provided, then this one. So but here in the Haskell these things will not be there. Fact n is equal to n into fact n minus 1. Fib means Fibonacci series. Fib 0 is equal to 1, fib 1 is equal to 1, fib of n plus 2 is equal to fib of n plus 1 plus fib n. So this is the way how the Haskell syntaxes will be written. And if you want to mention a function definition with different parameter ranges, fact n, for example, same factorial program will be written in Haskell like this: fact n, and change the line and tab spaces are represented like a symbol like this, which is called dash symbol like this. So, or we can say this is said to be vertical line. So vertical line, n is equal to 0, that means is equal to 0, is equal to 1. That means if n is equal to 0, then returns 1, otherwise it will return n into fact of n minus 1. So this is the way how the program is written in ML language. Since most of the functional programming languages deals with lists, in scheme also, in Haskell also you will find the list. The list will be like this: directions is equal to north, south, east, west. Here string operations are mentioned. Sorry, not string operations, string representations. It means a list can be represented with strings or with elements like integers as shown here. The list is represented with integers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or north, south, east, west by representing with the help of strings. Next, to know the length of a string, it is very simple. Prefix a hash symbol at the beginning of the list name, thereby it will return the size of the list. Next is arithmetic series with the operator ... That means we used to say that 1, 2, 3 and so on up to 10. So then if you want to represent that 2, 4 ... 10, that will give you the difference between the first element and the second element, that is 2. So the subsequent elements will be incremented by 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. If it is 1, 2, ... 10 means 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on 10. Like that a list will be created. Next is concatenation with plus. In scheme language, we used to use CAR for the concatenation of an atom with the element. But here, to concatenate two lists, we have written a program in scheme, but it is very simple. Here you place plus, automatically these two lists will be added. CONS, CAR, CDR via the colon operator as in Prolog will be used here. Anyhow, we will see the Prolog programming language in the logic programming structure. Here example is like this: 1 colon a list 3, 5, 7. It will be resulting into 1, 3, 5, 7. That means 1 will be added at the beginning of the list. The functional programming languages uses the lazy evaluation concept. Lazy evaluation means it will identify and compute only those variables that are necessary for the function definition or function execution. So this is what is called lazy evaluation. Many of the functional programming languages will do the lazy evaluation. Now, applications of the functional languages. Basically, functional programming languages are used for throw-away programs. Basically, throw-away programs are are the programs especially used for understanding the system. Once the system is understood, then we will write the programs in a detailed manner. But the code that you have written for understanding the system will not be used in the main application. Such kind of programs are said to be throw-away programs. Lisp is used for artificial intelligence applications, especially for knowledge representation, machine learning, natural language processing, modeling of speech and vision. For all these 4 applications, Lisp is very popular. Scheme is a language is used to teach introductory programming at some universities. Obviously, we have also chosen Scheme as the syntaxes are very easy and easy to understand. Coding is also very easy. So that is the reason in the short period, if you want to know what is a functional programming language, Scheme is a better solution. The comparing of the functional and imperative languages. Basically, imperative languages are efficient in execution because most of the imperative languages are compiled languages. Most complex semantics will be available and complex syntax is also available. And at the same time, in imperative languages, concurrency is programmer designed. That means we have seen the multi-threading concept with in Java, C and C++ and Python, where programmer can design their concurrent programming or concurrent execution of the programs. In case of functional programming languages, there are simple semantics, simple syntaxes, inefficient execution. Inefficient execution means that here there is no complete dedicated recursion kind of thing. When you have a recursion, obviously you require a full runtime stack. These kind of things were not supported in the functional languages. programs can automatically made concurrent in case of functional languages, but in case of imperative languages, programs are never be concurrent by default. Here a programmer has to write concurrent programming and has to manage inter-process inter-thread communication. These are the four main differences between the imperative languages and functional languages. Now we'll see the scheme programming language. Here this particular semicolon represents the comment. If you want to declare anything in comment, then you also represent using semicolon at the beginning of the statement. So these are the simple programs that I have given to you. Just we'll see how these programs will work, and at the end of this document I have provided some references. You are encouraged to go to those references and find out some more programs, and once you do these programs on your own, it is very easy for you to solve the tutorial questions. So the first thing is expression writing. Expression writing should be in the prefix order. For example, if you want to represent 3 plus 4 into 5 within brackets, then it must be written like this: plus 3 is this is the prefix, within brackets prefix star 4 5. So this is the way how the expression will be written. And also I told you to go for the online scheme compiler. Yesterday, not in the previous lecture, I have given you the link for the online scheme compiler. So go to that online scheme compiler, just to copy paste this code and run, and you can see the output at the right hand side. So see the expression plus 3 star 4 5, so which is giving you the answer 23. Like that, another program to print a given number is even or odd. So this can be checked via a predicate function called even. So to define a function, define within brackets even odd x. X is the input that you are providing to the function even odd. Here the first parameter will become the function name, and second parameter are the arguments that you are passing to the function. So this will be defined via define statement. So bracket open, if even, then it will give you the it will check with the x whether x is even or not. If it is x is even, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Anyhow, we have seen this program in the last lecture, comparing two elements, whether x is greater than y or x is less than y, or both are equal. Next, this is a simple program to compute the simple interest. So you are defining a function to which you are passing the parameters p, t, r, and it is simple p, t, r by 100. Next is computing the factorial. During the lecture we have seen how to compute the factorial. Anyhow, scheme programming language uses tail recursion. So here define fact n is the parameter that you are passing. If n is equal to 0, n is equal to 0 means you are supposed to write like this in the prefix form. If n is equal to 0, then return 1, else return n into fact of n minus 1. So this is the way how you will write the factorial program. Next, computing the program to compute the Fibonacci series. This is similar way like factorial. It also uses recursive function. So I hope you can explore this. It is self-explanatory. Next is program to compute GCD of two elements. This is also like this. Define GCD, two parameters that you are supposed to pass to calculate the greatest common divisor of two elements. If a and b are equal, then you are supposed to give the value a. Otherwise, you have to go for GCD of a minus b and b, or GCD of b minus a comma b minus a. So this is the way you are supposed to do the general operations. Next, we will see the operations on list. So programs for list operations, you are supposed to remember three main things. One is CONS. CONS is used for adding of an atom with list. CAR to obtain the first element from the list. CDR is by obtaining list by eliminating the first element. So CONS, CAR, CDR will play a major role in list operations. So we'll see these operations one by one. CONS, A, this is the atom. B, C, D, this is a list. So whenever you say CONS this one, then you will get the resultant list as A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D, E, that means you will get the first element. That is CDR, A, B, C, D, E means by eliminating the first element A, you will get the remaining elements. Now if you want to make a list of list by using independent atoms, then you are supposed to use list. You have to mention the independent atoms. Then the result will be returned in terms of a list. That means within brackets A, B, C, D. So now using these elements, these functions, we'll see one more program. That is program to print sum of elements of a list. For example, if I have given you a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then your task is the program is to compute the sum of the elements of the list. That is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. That means you need to pick 1 first, then from the remaining list you pick 2, then from the remaining list you have to pick 3, from the remaining list you have to pick 4, and you have to sum up. So first of all, always you are supposed to do is, once you have been given any list, then first and foremost thing that you are supposed to do is, you have to check whether the list is empty or not. If the list is empty, then you cannot do any operation. So that is the reason, if if list is empty, then return 0. Otherwise what you are supposed to do, you have to add first element with the rest of the elements. That means here CAR list, that means CAR list is 1 plus you have to add sum of the remaining elements. So recursively call the sum function with the rest of the elements. Rest of the elements means you have to use CDR list. So here CDR list means the first element 1 will be removed and the rest of the list will be attached. So recursively this operation will perform so that it will print the sum of the elements in the list. So with this motivation, try to write the following two programs, which is homework for you. Write a program to print product of elements of a list. So you know what operator to be changed here in the above program. So identify that and do the program. Next one is write a program to print square of elements of a list. That means you have supplied elements like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the output should be printed as 1 square, that is 1, 2 square 4, 3 square 9, like that. So this is the you are supposed to do on your own. Next is program to reverse a given list. So if you want, the program is to reverse the list. Reversing the list means the first element should be placed at the end of the same list. So like that you have to repeat till the reversed list has been appeared. So for that you are going to define a reverse list. If null, that means if the list is null, then return the same list. It means that always whenever you are doing any list operation, first condition is to be checked is whether a given list is empty or not. If the given list is not empty, then you have to proceed further. So we have seen append operation. Append means whatever the given element in the first element will be appended to the next element that you have supplied, that is next list you have supplied. Now here reverse CDR list list car lst. That means here reverse of cdr list will be done. Then list is a function. This list is a function which will create a list of atoms that you supply. That means here this car list is recursively what it is doing. It is picking the first element from the available list. So if it picks up the first element, then that element will become a independent element, which means an atom. Like that, how many elements that it picks, all the elements will become atom. Now using list function, you are going to merge all these atoms into a single list. We have seen this kind of program previously. For example, here you look at, if I supply the list as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that, with the car of the list, then I will get first element. Next with the cdr on car, then we will get second element, then cdr again car, then third element, like that. Independent elements you will get, but with the help of list function, all these elements can be grouped into a list. So this is what the idea behind the usage of list here. So thereby you will get the reversing of the list. Next is program to find the length of a list. That means how many number of elements are available in the list. So here also the same time of operation can be done. Define length. Here lambda of L, you can also write lambda of L like this, or you may also do like this, which will give you the same result. So that means length, this is the input that you are supplying to the length. If you want to represent in an independent way, then define length, which means that a function that you are defining within the bracket lambda L, that is the parameter that you are passing. Or you may also do like this. So both will give you the same result. If the primary condition, checking for the null, list is null or not. If list is not null, then you have to perform 1 plus length of cdrl recursively. That means how many elements are there till the list becomes a null. This particular repetition will go on. Thereby it will sum up it will add up 1 for every iteration. Then finally, when the list is empty, the resultant sum will be returned. Next is program to check an atom in a list. That means whether the given element is present in the list or not. So this program will not work. Actually, this program will work. So hash define member x list. If null, obviously checking for the list is null or not, then equal of car, that is first element of the list, is compared with the atom that you are supplied. If both are equal, then return true. Otherwise, check again contains the rest of the list with the atom that you supply. Recursively perform this operation so that you will get whether the given atom is available in the list or not. I have copied this function into the compiler. Now run this. So it is printing the ABCD. That means that this element is present in the list. Now I have run the program by changing the atom to E. Previously it is A, now I have changed it to E. Anyhow, E is not present in ABCD. So obviously whenever you run this, you will get false as the result. Next, anyhow, we have detailedly seen how to check the equality of two simple lists. This particular compiler, since it is accepting a different way of writing the program, the programs that was represented in slides, will also be helpful for understanding the basic structure of scheme. However, the current compiler that I have shown you is directly not taking the program, but it has to be modified in lower letters. So that reason I have rewritten the program like this, checking for the list equals list 1 and list 2. So the same program, but with some small modifications I have rewritten this. So this particular input we are going to supply to this function to check whether both the lists are equal or not. If both are equal, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Next is a program to append list 1 to list 2. So you have to pick the first element from the list, then append to the second list. In the same way, pick the rest of the elements and add to the second list. So adding means in this you have to use append operation. And there exist some higher order functions such as apply plus 7 5. That means this plus will be applicable on the elements 7 and 5, so that 12 will be printed. Apply max 3 7 2 9. That means it will pick up the maximum element from the list. Map odd 2 3 4 5 6. That means it will check each and every element whether the element is odd or even. If the element is even, then it will print null. If element is odd, then it will print true. That means hash t. Next, define db1 lambda of x. Okay, lambda means lambda functions are nameless functions, simply to represent a kind of structure, a function kind of structure. So which is giving you 2 into x, which is in the prefix format. Now map db1. Map means this particular function will be applicable on each and every element in the list. That means db1, it will take x1 as the argument and will print 2, and next it will take the 2 as the argument, then it will print 4, then it will print it will take the 3 as the argument, then it will print 2 into 3. So like that, this particular function will be mapped to every element in the list. So like this we can write any number of programs. Here some references were provided. This is the reference for the compiler. You can open in browser and you can start working on this. Next is this is the important resource where it is a book in the HTML form. You type it in the browser, so you will get the book. So in this you will find detailed programming of scheme. If you are interested, you can go through each and every program which was mentioned in that book. So the book is this, the Scheme Programming Language, 4th edition by R. Kent. So here you will find chapter wise notes, chapter wise book material. So exception conditions, how to write the exception condition records, input output statements, general operations. Okay, so these kind of things you will find there. You can go in detail if you want. So this is related to the scheme programming. To conclude the functional programming, FPL use function applications, condition expressions, recursion and functional forms to control program execution instead of imperative features such as variables and assignments. So far in entire our program, in entire scheme programs that what we have seen, we didn't find variables. We have not used any variable in that, and no assignments, no assignment statements was observed. So directly whatever is the last result stored in the after computing the expression, that will be printed onto the screen. Lisp began as a purely functional language and later included imperative features. Scheme is a relatively simple dialect of Lisp and uses a static scoping. Common Lisp is a large Lisp based language. So we have not seen this detailed aspects of Lisp and Common Lisp. but we have seen scheme language because it is very simple and uses static scoping and very easy to understand. ML is another FPL, functional programming language, is a static scoped and strongly typed functional language which includes type inferences, exception handling and a variety of data structures and ADTs. Haskell uses the lazy functional language. That means lazy evaluation will be done. That means whatever the functions required or whatever the variables required in the functions, only those variables or those expressions will be evaluated. Supporting infinite lists and set comprehension. Next is purely functional languages have advantage over the imperative alternatives, but their lower efficiency on existing missions architectures has prevented them from enjoying widespread use. So these functional languages has a limited scope on various architectures, computer architectures. So that is the reason they have not been widely used in the academia. However, for specific applications like artificial intelligence applications and computer vision and processing kind of applications, on a dedicated hardware, these programs will be used. So this is what the introduction and programming of functional programming paradigms. In the next lecture, we will start with the logic programming.